back to this Brzezinski book, Steve, because this is a blueprint summarizing up exactly what you're talking about when it mentions this coming totalitarian system using the technology for more control. It says this: what is really a difference in the innovation of the totalitarian regimes and the organizations that will be employed in the modern era will have such a total control over the ideological motivated movement dedicated to the total destruction and reconstruction of a mass society for the furtherance of creating a new man. And it goes on to talk about the pseudo-religious system that will follow and the complete control of every human being who is part of this system from cradle to grave. And this is what they are going for. This is their goal, and this is what they call evolution, and they're doing it through this scientific dictatorship. And what's really alarming is the fact that how fast they are now moving leads me to believe that they have the technology ready. They just need the right catastrophes, whatever situation, to roll this out, and they're close.
Well, I would even go one step further, Joe. It's always tough to be ahead of the herd and to warn the herd that, beyond the horizon lies a cliff, and you're running headlong. We're running headlong. And, before Branson, there's even, quote-unquote, a Christian transhumanist conference taking place. A Christian transhumanist conference. So again, this is an important. First of all, let me share this, and thank you to Celeste for putting this into this order, because I want to share what convergence means. Okay. To the New World Order people, everything that had to do with the old world, the old God of heaven, the old morals, the old understanding, that has to go away. All borders, language, and culture have to be dissolved. So right now, Joe, and I think this is something that people better consider these words, we are in a world that's chaos, that's complex, and it's also competitive in a multidimensional battle. And what's critical is that language, technology, and culture are accelerating a rate of changeover every 6 weeks. And it will even get down to, I'm sorry, but it's going to get to the point where you'll see headlines and they'll overwhelm and they'll overwhelm you. In essence, it may be 6 weeks now, but I guarantee it'll be a week by week, if not day by day in the coming days. Now, again, I want to use a term that most people don't use, and just as in the days of Noah, there's a thing called cross-species molecular breeding program that are engineering entities, okay? Now, that's a mouthful. The idea of creating a body for this disembodied spirit, and again, the demons, according to the book of Enoch, according to the Gospels, according to the way the demons were dealt with in the book of Acts, we are dealing with disembodied spirits. And we're trying to get through to people. This is my goal at Branson, the conference, the Transhumanism Conference, and the Hybrid Age, to make people understand how this has been perfectly orchestrated, supernaturally directed for such a time as this, to be able to pull this off with the technology. And what's interesting, they could not pull it off when there was a viable Christian presence in the United States. You can go to all the studies, I think you've quoted them on your program before, of how many people don't believe in God, how many people don't believe that the Word of God is inspired, how many people don't believe in heaven, how many people don't believe in hell. And my answer to all those people is, what do you believe? Obviously, you're an unbeliever. Now, again, what people have got to understand this is no matter how brilliant the human design system is, no matter how complex, it is just a technological artifact. Now, that's a very important word. If I say to you, Joe Hagman, what's an artifact?
An artifact is a piece of is something that is I can't even give you an accurate definition. It's something.
Well, I think what you're going for is a piece. Yeah, it's a piece of something left over from a prior age that maybe shows technology, but it no longer is maybe functional in the time period that it's revealed. Or in the case of hidden ancient technology, the the goal is to reactivate it. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but let me share this. If any human design system, no matter how complex, is a technological artifact, then there has to be a spiritual component that now has taken over, okay? Now, again, AI, and this is what I want people to understand, and ask the Lord, hey, before you say quail's crazy and over the edge or any of the other things that they say, ask the Lord what is going to become that when an illegal power network literally seizes your body, your mind, and your spirit. And do you stand in a place with God beyond your scorn, ridicule, and rejection of those who are trying to warn you what's coming, where you're going to be able to stand against that evil day? Because, Joe, we're seeing something that had never been released in the earth before, that AI is going to be able to take your desires and materialize and assemble them. It's going to be beyond a holodeck on Star Trek. It's going to be beyond going to the machine and molecularly assembling, a milkshake and a hamburger. It's going to basically take all your desires and materialize and assemble them. So this is kind of where we're, and that's called convergence. To define convergence, I want to define it not harmonic convergence or the New Age term. Convergence is when the spiritual world that has been visible manifests itself in the visible world, and there is no longer denying the reality of the spiritual. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And an example, these devices that people have in their homes, the Alexas, I don't know if you saw the videos, but there were people asking the Alexa, who is Jesus Christ? And it would say, it would quote the Quran, a prophet, this or that, never actually giving the correct information or divinity to Jesus. But you ask it, who is Muhammad? And they would say, a holy man, X, Y, Z. But what's so fascinating about this is not only their ability to distort and change history, but also their capability of the AI to learn human behavior, the human condition, and adapt those truths and realities to that, that's a complete recipe for disaster, even if you're a Christian.
Well, and this is what a familiar spirit is. A familiar spirit is like a comedian, okay, who can mimic the language and or the habits of the person they're presenting. I think Rich Little was one of the guys that could do that the best, especially when Richard Nixon was president, or some of the more, if you will, famous people that can pantomime and or mimic, even to the voice, other famous people. But here's where we are right now. Well, here's where we are at right now. The top 10 weapons of mass destruction. All life has now been transformed for a delivery system for wholesale slaughter down to the molecular level. I want to define that. The genetic engineering, the genetic probing, the genetic investigation, the entire, if you will, blueprint for individuals has now been seized by them, even if you don't go to, 23andMe or Ancestry.com. So, in essence, every single person, boy, I hope this comes through, and if you can say it better than I can, please take your liberty, Joe. Every single person on a molecular and subatomic level, the uniqueness of that has been assimilated into the killing machines, the algorithms, okay? Now, I want to make this clear. Our protection is in Jesus, and he made this statement. He gives us power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt us, but it is going to come against us. So can you say that any better? I'm not putting you on the spot. If you can, I just want to make sure that the intent of what is being laid out for people is being delivered to them accurately.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of these innovators of the AI who say things like we're going to summon the demon, or, we don't know what or whose consciousness is driving this thing, are being very naive on purpose, not telling the whole truth. But there's a great piece I read, The Dark Secret at the Heart of AI. And it talks about how nobody really knows how the most advanced algorithms do what they do and what their true intention is. And if you look at the history of AI, defined, back as intelligent behavior established by computers, and it says the goal of AI research includes reason, knowledge, planning, learning, natural language processing or communications, perception, and general recreation of the human brain. Mm-hmm. And it goes further than that into, the desires, just as you said. But what it wants to do is basically mold itself off of what society wants, at the same time promoting its own agenda, which is the taking away of the souls from Jesus to the devil, without even, saying as much. And what they are doing is creating a system that I believe is referenced back in Genesis, where it says all thoughts of men were evil continually. And whether through good intentions or not, this is exactly what's going to happen.